Hey YouTube, in this video I got a deck profile for my updated Megacolony machining deck. So I'm actually going to post two machining decks. I'm going to do two different builds. This one is the more, well, this is probably the more rare one, since most people are probably going to run the Hercules variant now, since he's new. He just came out with the Break Ride. But this is the more, this is using the older cards that they had from Extra Booster 1. So this features Stag Beetle as the main Vanguard. So the deck works surprisingly well, especially with the new starter that they've got. So let's get right into it. So for Machining Stag Beetle, this guy's really good. He can hit ridiculous numbers, especially with the Break Ride. Actually I was thinking of not even running the Break Ride and just running 4 of him and 4 of the Hercules guy. But the Break Ride is just too good right now to not run, so I just stuck with 2 different builds. So there's this one and there's the other one. So Stag Beetle, he's pretty good. No counterblast requirements, which I like, and then he helps you put cards in the field. The only thing is they're rested, but you can combo him with the starter, and you can actually use the starter, put the start into the soul, re-ride him, and get the starter back out and do kinds of crazy things with him in the starter. Next, for Unrivaled Blade Rogue Cyclamatooth. Only downside of this guy, he's not a machining, but other than that, he's an amazing Break Ride. He has no counterblast requirements. So basically all it is when you ride him, or when you ride on top of him, your Vanguard gets 10,000, and then all the opponent's units, including their Vanguard, cannot stand. So people at first were like, oh, that's OP. Well, there's things that they can do to get out of it. They can re-ride another grade 3, or they can Break Ride, or, you know, there's stuff that they can do to get around it. But still, it kind of forces them to have to go minus, and most people aren't running stand triggers, so it's still pretty good. So Cyclamatooth plus Stag Beetle, it's going to be pretty hard for them to guard that turn unless they waste their interceptors, throw down like 2 10s, two 10s and a 5 or something from their hand. You know, some kinds of crazy stuff like that. You make your opponent go pretty minus on that combo. Grade 2 lineup for Machining Mantis, because he works very well with Stag Beetle. So he's your 12k for the Stag Beetle build. We do not run the new 12k in this build. That one's actually for the Hercules one, because the Hercules one is not about taking cards from the soul. Next, for Machining Papillo. Now this guy, the only downside of it is it's 8k, but it's pretty good. Surprisingly, like, all you do is when you place it on R, if you have a Megacolony Vanguard, so it doesn't even have to be machining. This is a machining card, but the reason why I'm running 4 is because it works good regardless of which Vanguard you have. So basically, it just chooses one of the opponent's rear guards they can't stand. So you can stun or trap, whatever you refer to their stuff as. You can stun their one of their lanes for a turn, and then force them to like use that as an interceptor or something. Or in very commonly, what I've seen is a lot of people will have like a 10k grade 1 attacker on one lane, so you can stun that thing from standing. So it's pretty good. And like I said, with Stag Beetle, calling stuff like calling machinings out from the soul. If this is in the soul, you just like call it out and then stun something. So, and that's not even break riding. That's like if you ride Stag Beetle on Stag Beetle, you can like call out a grade 1 like Machining Mosquito and then grade 2 Papillo or something like that. So it's surprisingly really good with Stag Beetle. And then next, 3 of this new guy, Machining Tarantula. Basically, this is the counterblast 1 machining. When it hits a Vanguard, you can choose an opponent's rear guard and it can't stand. So 3 of that. For grade 1s, 2 Machining Ladybug. This is the quintet wall for Megacolony, and it's machining. And then 2 Paralyze Madonna. So 2 and 2, mainly because it's machining. So if you end up having to soul charge this into the soul, you can just call it out later as a machining. So it's not that big of a deal. But it's, I don't know, 2 and 2 seems to work, kind of like how Gold Paladins can run 2 Igraine. Next, 4 Machining Hornet. So this is same as Mantis. These cards were really meant to be used with Stag Beetle, so that's the reason why I kept them in, rather than running the 10k grade 1 machining and the 12k attacker grade 2 machining. So those are for a different build. So 4 of those guys. And then 4 Machining Mosquito, because Machining Mosquito is still really important for Stag Beetle, just to help you soul charge those machinings into the soul. And then 2 Machining Caucasus, or Caucasus. Not sure how to pronounce that, but anyway, this guy is it's just a tech card that I put in. So when the attack hits it boosts machining. You get to choose one of your opponents regards can't stand. So this replaced what is it? Megacolony Battler B. So that thing had to counterblast. This doesn't have to counterblast. So it just has to boost some machining. And then for the grade 0s, I went with these 4 critical, then 4 more critical. So they got a new critical trigger. So I actually, now that I think of it, they can actually run 12 critical, but I decided not to go with 12 critical. So I went with the 4 new Machining Scorpion plus their older Shelter Beetle. So 8 critical, and then I went with 4 stand, so the new machining stand that they got. So I found that with 8 crit and 4 stand in machinings, it's actually pretty good at applying a lot of pressure, especially when you get to restand your rear guards and your opponent is gonna be like, especially on the turn you break right, they'll most likely not care about their rear guards getting picked off. But the goal is you don't do that. You're just gonna go everything on the Vanguard. So with these, you can get like a 4th attack in. With critical and stand, if you get double trigger and it's critical and stand, or stand critical, that's pretty crazy. So that's why I went with that. Also because the deck is kind of like, it's all about stalling the opponent out, so you don't really need the draws. If you want to run the draws, you could, but I also kept with 12 of these, like this kind of lineup, because of the 10k shields, so that helps the Quintet wall a lot. And then obviously 4 of the new machining heal. So only 4 triggers are non-machining. So if you have to a special counterblast like with this guy, you're not going to have too much of a problem. And then the starter is Machining Little B. This starter is meant to be used with the Hercules guy, but in playtesting it with Stag Beetle, I found that you can actually do some crazy stuff with these two. Like when you ride Stag, the first time, like you're brake riding, you may do something like this. You can put this into the soul because don't forget, you need to get machinings into the soul, so later on, when you're having to ride another Stag to do the effect again, you can bring out, like, oh, I don't know, let's just pick these 2. You can, like, bring these 2 out. This guy can then go back into the soul and stand this guy up, or something like that. It's just all kinds of interesting, crazy plays I've been able to do with this and this, but it's like you'd have to play the deck to understand. So anyway, guys, that was the Stag Beetle variant. I'll be building the Hercules one next, so stay tuned for that one if you're interested. Megacolony, in my opinion, is one of those very underappreciated, underrated, and underrepresented decks, but it's actually very fun to play, and I consider it the original Link Joker because of the style. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.